I'm Mike Berry, General Manager of the Tri-County Water Conservancy District, and I've been with the district for about 27 years now. And I'd like to share with everybody what Tri-County Water does and what we've been doing for the last 60 years now. Like I say, we are a water conservancy district, Title 37 of Colorado Revised Statutes, different than a special district, which is a Title 35, I believe, of the statute. And we have a 15-member court appointed board. So we have 5 members from Ridgway County, Montrose County, and Delta County. And they are appointed by a state district court to this board. We are eligible for election processes, but we have never had one to my knowledge. We're a local government. We're not a private utility, so we're a little different than DMEA or SMPA or the telephone company in that they're private utilities governed by private boards or shareholders. And I didn't update this. I should have updated this number. This is an older presentation, but the 2020 property tax was right in the same range. At one point, I think it was 9.6 or 7 mils. And we collect this tax and have been collecting it for some time to pay our debt to the federal government for the Ridgway, our Dallas Creek project, which is Ridgway Dam and Reservoir. And I will get to that a little bit in a minute. We're tax exempt and we're a nonprofit. This is our mission statement. And 90% of our effort at Tri-County goes to deliver potable water to our district customers. And we also manage, operate, and maintain the Ridgway Dam for reclamation in the best interest of our constituency. Little history here. We got 15 current directors. There's been 58, I believe, plus or minus past directors. They've had 8 managers and 3 attorneys over the last 64 years. This is a map of the district boundary, and our boundary on the north is essentially the Gunnison River with a little bit of North Delta here. Then we cover the remainder of Delta County, sort of the middle half of Montrose County, and the entirety of Ridgway County. So that is the district boundary. That is not our service area, not our domestic water service area, but rather the district boundary. And those folks within that district boundary pay that tax to the district. A little history here is back in the 40s, Reclamation began studying the Dallas Creek project. And in 1957, Tri-County was created for the purpose of sponsoring the Dallas Creek project, which originally started out to be a lot bigger than just one dam and reservoir. It was many impoundments, domestic water, irrigation water, conveyance structures, and such. In 1968, Congress authorized the Dallas Creek project. And Tri-County at the same time started construction of a rural water system down in the lower Uncompahgre Valley, basically from Kelowna to Delta. In 71, we delivered our first water. In 76, the voters of the district approved a repayment contract to Reclamation, 9-1 favor. It was an overwhelming approval by the district voters. In 1977, Project 7 was established, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. We had a groundbreaking ceremony on Ridgway Dam in 1978. In 1980, we delivered our first water to, or Project 7 delivered their first water to the 7 entities or the 6 entities of Project 7. So I'll get into that in a second too. And then we have a long history of studying hydropower for the structure at Ridgway Dam. Started in 1984, and you can see here we finally got it built in 2014 and up and running. So it was 30 years it took to get that hydropower facility built. The system extensions south of Kelowna started about 1984, and the majority of them were done between 84 and 94. And that was all or most of Ouray County, if not all of Ouray County extension was done after 1984. The dam was completed in 87. It was filled in 1990. We went through a program with the Bureau of Reclamation from 1990 to 1994 called the Winter Water Program, which was a replacement of winter water down in the lower valley in the Uncompahgre project, which is managed and run by the Uncompahgre Valley water users. And we created an exchange agreement, which I will talk about a little bit here in a minute, with the Uncompahgre Valley water users in 1981. And again, fired up our hydropower project in 2014. So here's our domestic water system. Our original system was, like I say, Delta Kelowna. It had 1,200 taps. Tap fees were $125 back then. We had about 280 miles of pipeline, 2 pump stations, 3 storage tanks, and our source of supply was actually from the city of Montrose, who originally owned and operated the plant that Project 7 owns and operates today. Delta, and today we stretch from Delta to Ouray, clear to Ouray County, just short of the city of Ouray. We have, should have updated this too, we have about 7,800 taps now. And our tap fees at 5,500 plus installation. We got about 620 miles of pipeline, 42 pump stations, 22 tanks, and Project 7 is now our water treatment provider. So you can see that in the last 50 years, this district has grown significantly in size and shape, and it's today it's a pretty big job to take care of about 7,800 customers. This is Project 7 Water Authority. They are a water treatment contractor. They provide water treatment services for the city of Montrose, Delta, Town of Olathe, Tri-County, Minokan, and Chipeta water districts. And we all pay them for the water that they treat. Strictly, they do not own any water rights. They strictly are a water treatment provider to those entities. And this is a map I stole from Project 7. And it kind of shows where the Project 7 water treatment plant is, which is east of Montrose and centrally located in the valley. And then these shaded areas, this is the city of Montrose. This is the Chipeta Water District, the Minokan Water District, the Town of Olathe, and the city of Delta. And everything in that maroon, everything else in maroon is Tri-County Water Service Area, approximately. And we basically pump everything south of the city of Montrose, and everything north of Montrose is gravity fed. So we have a rather large pumping system south of Montrose and a rather more extensive gravity flow system out in the lower valley of the Uncompahgre River. This is Dallas. This is the Dallas Creek project and a picture of Ridgway Dam. A few little tidbits about the dam and reservoir. The structure is 330 feet from the base of its keyway, which is below the surface of the valley, up to the crest of the dam. The hydraulic height, which means the amount of water we can put in this reservoir, is about 200 feet. Crest length's about a half a mile. That's the length across the top of the dam. The elevation's at 6886. And I will say right here that a full reservoir is around 6871. So we got about 15 feet of freeboard on that structure. And the outlet works has a capacity of 1440 originally. But with the addition of the hydropower plant, I believe that number's gone up, but I don't know exactly what it is because we've never released that much water. We have the ability to release a little bit more water than 1440. The capacity of the spillway is 10,000 CFS. And if 10,000 CFS ever go over that spillway, there's going to be a lot of wet people down in the lower Uncompahgre Valley. It's never happened before. I think the most water that's ever gone over that top of that spillway is about 800 CFS. And the reservoir surface area is about 1,000 acres. And the interesting thing about that is that 1 foot in elevation is about 1,000 acre feet of water. And I'll talk about it in a second, but an average year for inflows, April 1st through July 31st is around 100,000 acre feet of water. So it's kind of easy to keep track of elevations and quantities of water in this reservoir because all those things kind of line up in tens. The raw water supply available to the M&I or the domestic users by right is 28,100 acre feet. That's an allocated pool of water in that reservoir. And these are pools, you can think of it as a balloon of such. You can color the water, you can encapsulate the water, but there's 28,100 acre feet available to the M&I users. There's 11,000 feet of water, 11,200 acre feet of water that is purchased by the Uncompahgre Valley water users. They are essentially the seventh entity of Project 7. They purchase that water every year and Tri-County delivers it to them, and they are helping to pay for the project. That's an important point, is that the irrigators of the lower valley are paying for their allocated portion of water out of that reservoir. And there's about 55,000 acre feet of active storage in that reservoir, which means this is the amount of water that could be released out of the reservoir and is above basically the inlet to the river outlet works, or the pipe that goes through the reservoir, through the base of the reservoir. Annual water supplies, as I mentioned, the average is around 100,000 acre feet, and that's a April 1 through July 31st quantity. That is not a yearly total. Normal annual runoff to that reservoir is 140,000 acre feet of water. And in 2002, just to give you some perspective, when we had a bad year, the runoff April through July was around 33,000 acre feet, which is 33%. And in 2018, it was even less. Right now, the forecasted inflows for Ridgway for that period of time is at 48,000 acre feet. But I think we're going to lose some to the wind, and I think we're going to lose some to the ground. And so I'm not sure how much is actually going to occur. We'll know on July 31st how much that quantity was actually. Shifting gears here a little bit, I mentioned a hydropower plant at Ridgway, and we built it from about 2010 to 2014, went through our permitting process, a lease of power privilege with the Bureau of Reclamation, and we started construction in 2012, and that was accomplished in 2014 when we fired up the first generator that spring. The plant has a total of 8 megawatt capacity. It has one 7.2 megawatt unit and 1.8 megawatt or 800 kilowatt unit. Both units typically operate during times of high releases, like right now. Only this year we're not releasing enough water to operate both of these units. Typically this time of year we would be. The smaller unit was put in to capture or to make electrons from the winter flows that we have to release downstream to the lower Uncompahgre River. And that typically ranges from about 40 to 45 CFS up to 65 to 70 CFS. Our higher releases can go up to about 500, a little bit more than 500 CFS in the summer. Right now, for instance, we're releasing 180 CFS, I believe, at this point in time. This is a picture of the units. The one on the right is the lower, is the small unit. The one on the left is a larger unit. The larger unit, well, they're both water cooled. The 800 kilowatt or 8.8 megawatt unit is quite a bit smaller in size, but they are both capable of running at the same time. And this is the floor of the powerhouse. You'll see this structure if you ever go into the campground. You probably can see this structure looking up the river. And this is an overview of what we built. This is the power plant structure. This right here is the emergency stilling basin, which is connected to the emergency spillway, approximately just above where this picture was taken from. This is a substation, which takes the power out of the powerhouse at 4360 watts and bumps it to 1.15 kilowatt. There's a transmission line down here, goes over to a structure that goes into an interconnect station. I will go back. It's 1.15 kV is the voltage that this goes out, this transmission line, which is 115,000 volts. And then it goes into a interconnect station, which is owned and operated by Tri-State Generation and Transmission. And then it goes out to the grid, out by the highway. This area right down here is the Cow Creek recreation area. So this is the campground of the recreation area, just below the dam. So our future challenges, M&I supply for future growth is always going to be an issue. Right now we use about 10,000 of that 28,000 acre feet available to us. So we have room to grow, but we have to keep our eye on that going forward. Redundancy, we are in the process right now of planning the construction of a redundant water treatment plant, which will be built just south of Kelowna. Project 7 is spearheading that effort. Tri-County is consulting on it because we're going to be using some of our transmission line to get water back to the town and back to Project 7's transmission line around Montrose. So we're working on redundancy right now, and I suspect that water treatment plant will be up and running in 2 to 3 to 4 years. We're not sure yet. Water quality regs are always an issue for Tri-County. The EPA and the state CDPHE, which is the Department of Public Health and Environment, are always looking at regulation and imposing regulation on water treatment and water distribution providers out in the state, which is we always have to keep our eye on it, and it's always a new challenge for us, something around the bend seems like every year. We're very interested in conservation and efficiency. I think conservation and efficiency will make our operation more sustainable into the future. It's a priority for this district to keep their eye on that. And of course, the Colorado River Compact Call, which most folks have heard about, but with storage in Lake Powell and Lake Mead dwindling, and the hydrology, we've had 3 out of the last 4 years have been down in the 30 to 40% range for production of runoff. This presents a serious problem going into the future. And what this essentially is the lower basin, which is Nevada, Arizona, and California, can essentially call up to the upper basin, which are the upper basin states are New Mexico, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado, and they can ask for their water. And that water is going to come from Colorado River storage projects like Flaming Gorge and Blue Mesa. Ridgway Dam probably doesn't have enough water in it to make a dent, but the larger upper basin reservoirs are going to be called on to deliver our 1922 compact obligation. And that could be a serious problem in the next few years.